ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे। ओम श्री हयग्रीवाय नमः। ओम श्री वल्लभा समेत श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः। Here in this discussion whether Atma is a Jnata or Jnana Swarupa, the Purva Pakshi is very clear. In their Siddhanta, Atma is a Jnata or a knower. So they do not accept the Advaitin saying that knowership itself is Aupadhika. It is due to the Adhyasa with Ahankara or Antakarana. So the last argument was this: see, Nanu Jnatritvam Atmanaha na Ahankara Adhyasa Prayuktam. So they don't accept that Jnatritvam is there due to the Adhyasa of Atma and Ahankara. किंतु ज्ञानत्वमिव स्वाभाविकमेव अहंकार ज्ञातृत्वाद आत्मनः. So what they are saying is, like even jnanatvam, for them everything is a visheshana, jnatritvam, jnanatvam and all that, but it is a swabhavika visheshana. They are saying it is very nature. So like even jnana, this jnatritvam also is natural because ahankara jnatritvad atmanah. So the atma is the one who knows the ahankara, they say. Okay, even the I thought is known by atma, that means it is a knower. And further what? Nahi ahankara jnatritvam ahankara adhyasa prayuktam iti chet ma evam. So what they are saying is, the ahankara jnatritvam itself cannot be due to ahankara adhyasa. Okay, because the knowership is there in atma, and because of that only atma is knowing the ahankara. That cannot be attributed to the adhyasa of the ahankara itself, is the argument. So if you say like that, we don't accept that. So what we say, sabhasaha eva ahankaraha atmanam janati ghatadim iva. So what we say is, this ahankara is the one which knows itself also and which knows other things like ghatapatadi. Why we say like this is because even though we say atma is swayam jyotihi, the swayam jyotishtam of the atma, if you can call it, is not in the form of even reflexively knowing oneself. It is simply shining. When we say atma is swayam jyotihi, it is the one which is shining, and in its light everything is lighted up. Ahankara is different because ahankara is able to reflect, again reflect within double quotes. Ahankara is able to reflect or manifest this consciousness because of its Shuddha Sattva nature. There, whatever consciousness is manifest, the Upahita Chaitanyam is there, and also Vishishta Chaitanya, we say. Two ways we talk about it. We'll talk about it later also. This Ahankara is able to know itself and also the other thing. Ahankara here is able to know itself because it is a Jnana Kriya for the Ahankara, because there is an involvement of a Manovritti here. So in this case, if you say that Ahankara knows itself and it also knows an object like Ghata, then there is a problem, correct? So the Purvapakshi comes back. He says, Nacha karma kartru bhava vyaghataha chetuhu karasya swasmin napi chedana kriya darshanat. So they can say there is a karma kartru vyaghata, correct? Karma kartru bhava vyaghata means what? Same thing cannot be subject and object. Now, we do accept this principle. In fact, we do say that in the case of knowledge, it is not possible. But here, this jnana kriya is like a kriya of anything else. In a kriya, particularly kriya is involved means it is also, we have to say, uh, that which has parts only is involved in kriya. Correct? So, manas itself is not nirvikalpa. There are vikalpa in the mind. There are different parts are there in the mind. So one part can act on another part, particularly in the case of kriya. This we have to accept because sometimes when you are cutting vegetables and all that, you can cut your own fingers also, correct? So that's what he is giving the example. Chetuhu karasya swasvinapi chedana kriya darshanat. Means you cut your own finger. So here the karma and karta are one. Karma means the object of action. So in this case, that's why we have Atmanepadi and all that, I think. Even in the grammar, okay. So you can be the object of your own action because in action, it is not a partless whole. Anything which is involved in action is all having parts, and therefore one part can be acting upon another part of the same vastu. Of course, this is all we accept this only in Vyavahara. Okay, that is the point here. So there is no karma kartru bhava vyaghata is there. You cannot say we accept that in the case of kriya and where there are parts are involved. Vikalpa is there. Okay. So bheda is there. So here ahankara kartrikam hi idam jnanam kriya. So the jnana kriya is basically the activity of the ahankara, correct? It is done by the ahankara. So ahankara kartrikam hi idam jnanam kriya. So whatever you call as jnana, which involves the triputi, it is the kriya of the ahankara, we say. Okay. Once we say this, what then? Why can't this be there in Atma also? That is there. So nacha evam Atma api Atmanam janiya deva iti vachyam. Then why can't the Atma know itself and be the knower there also? Jnana kriya can be there for Atma also. Why should it be there only for Ahankara? Means Atma is Nishkriya, Nishkala and all that we say, correct? It doesn't have any, and it is Asanga also. So it doesn't have any Sangha with anything else. It doesn't have any Kriya, it doesn't change also, correct? Nirvikara. Without Vikara, you cannot have any action also. So Nishkriyasya Atmanaha, Jnana Kriya Ashrayatva Ayogat, Nirvikarasya cha Atmanaha, Jnana Kriya Akartritva Ayogat, Kartritvam hi Vikaraha. So what we are saying, see, because the Atma itself is Nishkriya, means it cannot be the Ashraya of any karma. It cannot become the karma of a Kriya, correct? It cannot become the object of any action because it is Nishkriyam. Similarly, it is Nirvikaraha, means it cannot be the Karta also. So it can neither be the Karta nor the Karma because it is Nishkriyam and Nirvikara. And it is Nishkala also. It cannot act upon itself. One part cannot act upon another part and all that because it is Nirvikalpa. So it cannot be that Atma can know itself. But Ahankara is, I thought, which is again in the Antakarana. It is all based on Antakarana Vritti. Therefore, there All these things are possible. Vritti itself is a modification only. It's a vikara, correct? Mano vikara only, we call it as vritti, or a state of mind, you can say. So it is a vikara. So the vikara is possible with reference to ahankara and atakarana, but not with reference to atma. So atayeva idam jnana kriya kartrutvam atmanaha na swabhavikam kintu aupadhikam iti uktam iti aupadhikam iti uktam iti. So therefore only what we say that this jnana kriya kartrutvam cannot be there in the atma. It is not its very nature, but it is only due to upadhi or conditioning factors. So it is upadhikam. In this case, the upadhi is antakarana itself is the upadhi. So unless the antakarana adhyasa is there, the jnana kriya kartrikam cannot be there. Okay. Okay. Even after we say this, what the Purva Pakshi is not happy. They come back, what Nanu yatha atmanaha jnatritvam aupadhikam tata jnanatvam aupadhikam eva jnanatvam api aupadhikam eva. So if you say jnatritvam is aupadhika, then why only jnatritvam should be aupadhikam? This jnanatvam also vishaya prakashakatvam jnanatvam they are saying is also aupadhikam, let it be. That means Atma is also not Jnana Swarupa, means what we say here is Antakarana. Further, they are only saying, okay, Antakarana Upahitasya Hi Atmanaha Vishaya Prakashakatvam Natu Shuddhasya Mukta Prapyasya iti. So what they are saying, see, according to them, Jnanatvam is Vishaya Prakashakatvam. So even the Vishaya Prakashakatvam also happens only when the Antakarana Upahita Chaitanya is there. Okay. Therefore, like even Jnatritvam, Jnanatvam also, let it be Aupadhikam then. It cannot be there for the Shuddha Atma or Mukta Atma. Mukta Atma here means which is free from the Upadhi. The Atma which is free from the Upadhi and which is pure, not in contact with any Upadhi, there you cannot have Jnanatvam also, like even Jnatritvam. This is what they are saying. If they say like this, what? Iti chet ma evam, it's not like this. Why? Yadyapi antakarana vishistasya jnatritvam तदुपहितस्य तु ज्ञानत्वं तथापि आत्मनः विषय प्रकाशन रूपे कार्ये नास्ति अंतःकरणस्य अन्वयित्वम् अतएव हि अंतःकरणस्य विशेषणत्व उपाधिभ्यां प्रमातृ साक्षिणोः भेदः. So this is what already I have talked about this also. See what we say in the jnatritvam, we say that Chaitanya Vishishta or Antakarana Vishishta Chaitanyam only is the Jnata. Where, because the Jnatritvam involves Vikara. The Vikara cannot be there for Atma, but it is there only in the Antakarana. So there, the Antakarana's Vikara is taken as the Atma's Vikara. Therefore, the Antakarana is very important there. That's why the Antakarana Vishishta, when you say, both Chaitanyam and Antakarana are involved when you are a knower. Okay. Or in the Anyonya Adhyasa aspect, here the Antakarana Dharma is Adhyastha and Atma. Therefore, we get Jnatritva. Okay. But Jnanam or Jnanatvam, there the Prakashakatvam is only Atma. It is the Atma Swarupa only is shining. And the Atma Swarupa shining is taken as Antakarana shining also, or the Abhasa shining. The Upaita Chaitanya shining. Therefore, it is the Anyonyasmin, Anyonya Dharma is the Adhyasa we talk about, correct? Each other's qualities or whatever nature is taken as the other's one. So, Jnanatvam is what is Upahita, it is not Vishishta. And therefore, in the Jnanatvam, there is no, since we say it is Upahita, there is no contribution of ahankara or antakarana in the jnana or prakashakatva aspect. It is there only, the antakarana's contribution is mainly the in undergoing modification and being the knower in the jnatritvam. So therefore, upahitasya tu jnanatvam, we say. Vishishtasya tu jnatritvam. Therefore, what we say is tathapi atmanaha vishaya prakashana rupe karye nati antakaranasya anvayitvam, means what? See, when you say the vishaya prakashakatvam is the jnanatvam, in that there is no contribution of the antakarana. Like I said, the antakarana's contribution is in undergoing modification and being the jnata. There, the antakarana's contribution is the main thing. The antakarana dharma is taken as the atma dharma. That's why there we say antakarana vishishta chaitanya is jnata. But the prakashaka aspect, in that the antakarana's contribution is not there. In fact, antakarana is taken as the prakashaka due to adhyasa only. So there the atma swarupa is adhyastha and antakarana. Therefore it is only upahita. So that's why atayeva hi antakaranasya visheshanatva upadhitvabhyam pramatra sakshinoho bhedaha. So we make a difference between knower and the witness consciousness. The witness or sakshi. So the witness consciousness is very important for us. That is because even when we talk about what happens when knowledge takes place, we say that Ghataha asti, Ghatam janami, two things are happening, correct? So the Nayayikas say Ghataha asti is one jnanam, Ghatam janami is anuvyavasaya, they say. They say one jnanam becomes the Vishaya of another jnanam and all that. You require two cognitions for Ghataha asti to take place and Ghata janami to take place. But we don't say that. We say both are simultaneously lighted up by the Sakshi for us. The witness consciousness is always there. And when the manovritti happens, these two things happen together. So one cognition is not the Vishaya of another cognition, like that. If you have a requirement like that, it will end up in infinite regress also. Okay, Anavastha will come. So we talk about a Jnata and a Sakshi. Sakshi is only Upahita Chaitanya. Understand that. That means in Upahita Chaitanya, the Upadhi really does not come along. That's why it is Upadhi. Upadhi is something separate. And being separate, it gives its qualities to the conditioned, whatever is conditioned. There, its quality is basically the undergoing Vikara and being the Kriya Ashraya and all that. Correct. So there it is doing the Upahitatvam. That's why there the Karya Anvayitvam means what? Its qualities are now coming on to Atma. There we call it, that's why we call it, in that case we call it as Vishishta, because the Antakarana aspect is important in knowership. But in shining the object, it is only Chaitanya Swarupa alone is shining everything. The Prakashakatvam, there is no Anvayitvam of the Antakarana. In fact, the Chaitanya's Prakashakatva is wrongly attributed to the Antakarana in that case. That's why we say it is Sakshi Chaitanya. So there is a Visheshanatva Upadhitvabhyam Pramatra Sakshinoho Bhedaha is there. So he is explaining that further. That's what Karya Anvayitve Sati Vyavartakam Visheshanam. So Visheshana is there along with the Visheshya. And in that manner, it differentiates it from everything else. Correct? It makes it distinct. Correct? Vyavartakam means you are differentiating or making something distinct. If you say, in fact, this thing is very much dealt with by Bhashyakara in the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Bhashya also. Whether Satyadi Shabdaha, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, can we take it as Visheshana or not? It is Lakshana or Visheshana, there is a big Bhashya. So there also Bhashyakara says what? any Visheshana has to be a Vyavartaka. So you say, I think there even Bhashyakara talks about Neelam Utpalam. Neelam Mahat Sugandhi Utpalam, let us say. You can have Visheshanas like that. So why do we keep on adding adjectives? Because you want to make something distinct from something else. You want to identify a particular individual, means you have to keep on adding adjectives, correct? You say Neelam Utpalam. That means you have made it distinct from everything else, every other color. But then Neelam Utpalam, only some 10 are there. Then how are you going to differentiate? Means Sugandhi Utpalam means all Neela blue flowers are not fragrant, but some of them are. But even amongst them, how do you identify one individual? Means Mahat, means very big, the biggest amongst them you are talking about. Means so like this, Visheshanas can be Vyavartaka. Okay, but they are there in the locus itself. There is a Samanadikaranyam, correct, for the Visheshanas. But Lakshana is not like that. Lakshana also is Vyavartaka. It reveals to you something, but without being there as part of the whatever the substantive. So in the Lakshana Vritti, it is only by indication. It is not by being in with the that Vastu itself. In the Visheshana and Vishesha, that's why we say there is a Swarupa Sambandha is there and all that we say. Because the Visheshana becomes part of the Vishesha. That's how it is doing the Vyavartakam. So Karya Anvayitvam is there for the Visheshana. But it is not there for the Upadhi. Karya Ananvayitve Sati. Here, correct? Vyavartakam Upadhihi. Without being in the Karya. Okay. But it still makes it distinct. So this is the difference. These are the characteristics or Lakshana of Visheshana and Upadhi. Therefore, what Tasmad Atmanaha Jnatrittvameva Upadhikam Jnanatvam tu Swabhavikameva. Okay, in fact, it is the other way around. The Antakarana Swabhava is not Jnana, but the Atma Swabhava is taken as Antakarana Swabhava. So that way you can say it is Aupadhika for the Antakarana. Jnana is Aupadhika for Antakarana. Jnatritvam is Aupadhika for Chaitanya or Jnana. Like this we can take. Okay. That is the Anyonya Adhyasa aspect, correct? Okay. Once we say this, what? They don't accept this also. Why? So now they are saying there is Shruti. Now they are going to Shruti. See, Nanu yadi sabhasa ahankaraha eva drashta atma tu jnanam eva tarhi nanyad atosti drashta nanyad atosti shrota, like that. This is all Brihadaranyaka. So Brihadaranyaka Shruti is there. Nanyad atosti drashta means other than that there is no other seer. Other than that there is no other hearer. Like that there is a statement. So it is Shrutya Drashtantrasya Nishiddhatvat means there is no other seer than the Atma. All the seers other than the Atma have been negated by the Shruti itself. Therefore, what Atmanaha eva drashtritvam siddhamiti. So the drashtritvam is there only for Atma. Shruti itself is saying that. Then how can you say that this drashtritvam is only a subset of Jnatritvam, let us say, correct? So how can you say this Jnatritvam is not Atma Swarupa? Here Shruti itself is saying that Drashtritvam Siddhamiti Katam Tava Shruti Virodha Pariharaha. So how are you going to resolve this opposition to Shruti itself? You are going against the Shruti now. How are you going to take care of this charge? Means Ma Evam. It is not like that. Why? What we say is Ahankaradi Swa Itara Sarva Vastu Avabhasakatvarupam Drashtritvam Atmanaha Eva. So when we say Drashtritvam here, it's not only Drashtritvam, it keeps on talking about Shrotritvam and so many other things. Okay. So all of them or in the context of showing that Atma alone shines. It is the Sarva Avabhasakatva. See, the Sarva Avabhasakatvam on Atma, or Atma being the Sarva Avabhasakaha, the one who shines and one who lights up everything. In that context, it is shown like that. The Shruti is talking like that to show that all other Anatma are Jada. Atma alone is Chetana. So, Swa Itara Sarva Vastu Avabhasakatva Rupam. So, it is the one which is shining on everything. Okay. Including the Ahankara. Okay. So, in that context, the Drashtritvam here means that. In fact, that is why Bhashyakara talks about, even in the Aitreya Bhashya, there is a big Bhashya. There are two types of sight he talks about. In the Brihadaranyaka also it is there, in 1.4.10, I think. Okay, because Drishtehe, Drashtaram, like that Upanishad itself says, seer of the sight is Atma, hearer of the hearing is Atma, smeller of the smelling is Atma, like that. Or it is similarly, it is there in Kena Upanishad also, correct? Shrotrasya Shrotram, Manaso Manaha, Vachoha Vachamanal. So all these places, it is not to say that Atma is having the Drashtritva Kriya. It is to only show that it is the one which is shining upon even the sight itself. Whether the sight is happening or not, how do you know? Means it is because of the Sakshi Chaitanya. Sakshi is the Avabhasaka of the seer also. Sakshi is the Avabhasaka of the hearer. Sakshi is the Avabhasaka of thinker, mantra. Correct? Manasaha, Manaha, it is. So all these things are happening in the presence of Atma alone. So that is the idea here. So the Atmanaha Drashtritvam here is only in this context. And Jnana Kriya Kartritva Rupam Jnatrutvam to Ahankarasya eva. And the Jnana Kriya Rupatva Kartritva is not there in Atma because it is explicitly negated. So that kind of Jnatrutvam is only for Ahankara. It is not there in Atma. So it is like we have already talked about it, correct? You can say that Surya is the Prakashaka. So the Prakasha Itritvam is there in Surya or not? Means, if you ask Surya, I am not doing anything. I am just being myself, correct? It is, its nature is to be shining. Atma is like that, but you can impute a Trich Pratyaya on that and say that as though it is a Karta. So this is like that. Okay, once we say this, how is this possible? They are coming back still. Okay, Nanu, Mama Manaha iti vat Mama Ahankaraha iti Drishyat Ahankarat Drashta Atma Bhinnaha eva. So now they are saying, see, Mama Manaha iti Vyavahara is there, correct? My mind, we say, or my ego. So this Ahankara, also Mama Ahankara, like that, Vyavahara is there, it is seen. Iti Drishyat. Ahankara Drashta Atma Bhinnaha. So we have to separate out the Drashta Atma, the seer of Ahankara, which is Atma, separately. And therefore what? Drashta hi Drishyam Drashtva Mama Ayam iti Pratyeti. And also what? Only a seer, after seeing the seen object, says that this is mine. Like that, if you say Mama Ahankaraha, there the Drashta is Atma. So Drashtritvam is there in Atma. Means we don't accept that Ma Evam, it's not in that manner. Why? Hey, you also accept Deha, this Deha Adhyasa. That means Dehe Atma Buddhi is there. So you take the Deha as I. But there is also Vyavahara Mama Deha, correct? Deha as I also Vyavahara is there. My body also Vyavahara is there, even with reference to Deha. So like that here also it is possible. So we are saying Yo Mama Ahankaraha iti Pratyeti. Sa sabhasa ahankaraha eva. So that ahankara there is the one which is actually manifesting the consciousness. The abhasa is there. Correct? So that Upahita Chaitanya is referred to only as Mama Ahankara, Natu Atma. Why? Because Sushuptyadav Atmanaha Tadrisha Pratyaya Abhava. In Sushupti there is no Pratyaya as Mama Ahankara or anything. Correct? So the Sabhasa Ahankara only is seen as Mama Ahankaraha. And further what? Ahankarasya Swasmin Mamatva Buddhistu Dehatmavadinaha Mama Deha iti Pratitivat Upapadyate. This is what I said, correct? So then you can ask, how can Ahankara say refer to itself as my Ahankara? Means it is possible because in the case of Dehatmavadinaha, even though they have Vyavahara as I with reference to the Deha, but they also have Vyavahara as my body. Mama Deha also is there and Dehatma Buddhi also is there. Both are there. That pratiti you accept. So here also you have to, actually it is the same. And what about Brahmavid then? They can ask, correct? So he is answering that also. Brahmavidaha tu asmat shabda lakshyarthasya pratichaha upadibhutaha ankaraha iti abhiprayena upapadyate. Because even a Brahmavid will say, Maya Ahankara. Means for Brahmavid, it is really Maya Ahankara in the sense that it is his upadhi. The Ahankara is only a upadhi, it is not my Swarupa. And even the whatever I is only a Lakshana for the Atma. Atma is the Lakshya, I is really Lakshana, and the Upadhi, Bhuta, Ahankara or Antakarana is still there, which is Pratichaha means it is not Pratyagatma, it is not innermost self, it is outside that. Okay. It is outward, Upadhi Bhutaha, and therefore there also with this jnanam only the vyavahara is done by the jnani, knowing very well that ahankara is not me, antakarana is not me. They are all only upadhi. Therefore what? Tasmad avabhasyasya ahankarasya avabhasakaha atma drashta eva iti. So this avabhasyaha, the one who is shined upon, okay, and ahankara. Ahankara is the one who is shined upon by the sakshi, and in that manner, Atma is the one who is lighting up the ahankara also. So we already said Atma can be called as a drashta in the context of sarva avabhasakatva. Correct? So here, since the Atma is the one which is lighting up the ahankara also, Atma can be called as a drashta. That doesn't mean there is a drashtritva kriya in Atma. Atma is lighting up the ahankara also because of its very nature of being consciousness. That's all. Okay. Nacha दृशिहि एव आत्मा इति पूर्वमुक्तम् इति वाच्यं विषय अवभासकत्व लक्षण द्रष्टृत्वात् दृशित्वस्य अभेदात्. So you previously said that drishi swarupa is atma or drik swarupa and all we say, correct? So drishihi means here basically it is the seerness or whatever you can say. Did you not say that now you are saying it is drashta? Different words you are using means they both mean the same. Okay, when we say drishi rupa, drik swarupa, drishi swarupa and all that, it is in the context of vishaya avabhasakatva. It is the only thing which is lighting up all the vishaya. Vishaya avabhasakatva lakshana drashtritvat drishitvasya abhedat. Drishitva and drashtritva and all are one and the same for us. It is all with reference to the shining of Atma, and in its own shine everything is lighted up. In that context only this is talked about. So Vishaya Avabhasakatvam hi Drishitvam. Drishitvam also is Vishaya Avabhasakatva. Okay, it is the shining up of all the objects of cognition. Lighting up of all the objects of cognition itself is drishitvam. That is also drashtritvam for Atma. Ata eva drashtuhu atmanaha darshanameva swarupamiti uktam drashtritvasya eva drishitvat. So, the drishi or drik swarupa is basically, that is the darshana. Darshana swarupa also is Atma. Drik swarupa also is Atma. They are all same when you look at it from the standpoint of lighting up of everything else. So ateva drashtuhu atmanaha darshanam eva swarupam. So even for the Atma who is the seer, the sight itself or the consciousness itself is the swarupa here. And drashtritvasya eva drishitva. And the drashta alone is the drishi also. So in this manner, nacha evam vishaya avabhasakatva lakshana drashtritvam eva sabhasah ahankarasyapi iti sa katam atmana nasyat katam nama atma jnata nasyad iti vachyam. So now even after we say all this, what now he is saying, if you are saying atma is like this, why can't we say ahankara also is like this? So you are saying Vishaya Avabhasakatva Lakshana Drashtritvam Eva Sabhasa Ahankarasya Api Asti. Why can't I say? Vishaya Avabhasakatva Lakshana Drashtritvam is there for Atma, you are saying. I am saying that can also be there for the Ahankara. Sabhasa Ahankarasya Api Asti. And therefore that is also Atma then. Sakatam Atma Nasyat. So Ahankara itself is Atma and Atma itself is Drashta and Nyatritvam is there for Atma. Again they are going back to their Siddhanta. Okay. And also Katan Nama Atma Jnata Nasyat. How can the Atma be not a knower? Atma is a knower. You can give all this, whatever it is in the context of Vishaya Avbhasakatva and all that, but Atma is the knower. Like this, they are still maintaining, means you can't say that now Achyam Vai Ahangraha Purvakam Vishaya Prakashakatvam Eva Nyatritvam Natu Tad Apurvakamiti Purvameva Uktatvat. What we are saying is, the Nyatritvam, in the Nyatritvam, there is also a cognition of I and this. Okay. But in pure, in just lighting up, correct? In Avabhasakatvam, Atma, in Atma, that is why when we say even Atma is Swayam Jyoti, he does not know itself as an object and all that. That is possible only for Ahankara or Antakarana Upahita Chaitanya, because their Antakarana is having parts and it is having, it is also Kriya, Ashraya, and it also undergoes Vikara. All these things being there, the Ahankara means what? Ahangraha Purvaka. That is what Vishaya Prakashakatvam means. It knows itself as the knower, and then it also knows the objects in the process of knowing the objects, it also knows itself as a knower. But Atma does not know itself as a knower like that. Atma is simply shining. It is only consciousness. If such kind of thing is there, I am a knower should persist even in deep sleep, correct? That's what we already pointed that out also. In the deep sleep, Atma is simply shining. But there is no, I am a knower also is not there. And I know this also is not there. Both are not there, but Atma is still there. Shining as the conscious being. That kind of a shining only we are talking about as the Drashtritvam here for Atma. But for the Ahankara or Antakarana Vishishta Chaitanya, there is knowing the knower also. Because I know means I know myself as a knower, correct? This is, or Gata is one cognition. And I know this Gata means I know myself as a knower and I know the Gata as a known object. That kind of a cognition of I know this is possible only with Ahankara. And that kind of knowing only we call it as Nyatritvam, because there you cognize yourself as a knower. unless you cognize yourself as a knower, this kind of a jnatritvam cannot be there. And that is there only for ahankara or antakarana. It is not there in atma. Therefore, what tasmat jnata ahamartas artaha sabasa ahankaraha eva. Therefore, the jnata in the manner you are talking about, that is what, that also has ahamartha because you refer to yourself as I, correct? But that ahamartha is nothing but sabasa ahankaraha. The ahankara which is manifesting the chaitanya, that alone is the jnata. And that is the I or the jnata which you are talking about. But Pratyegatma, the innermost self is what? Jnana Swarupaha Pratyegatma tu Aham Shabdasya Lakshyartaha eva. So the Aham Shabda Lakshyartha is Pratyegatma, but it is not a Jnata. It is only Jnana Swarupaha. It is Nyapti Swarupaha eva. So that's what we have to understand. The Aham Shabda Vachyartha is Ahankara. Aham Shabda Lakshyartha is Atma. Therefore, Aham Janami Ityado Purvasya Grahanam Aham Brahma Ityado Parasya iti Sankshepaha. So if you know Aham Janami means you know yourself as a knower means you are still Ahankara. But Aham Brahmasmi means what? In the Aham Brahmasmi, the knowership also is gone. It is washed away. And that is really the Akhandakara Vritti we talk about. And that is the Parasya means that is the later. That is about Atma. Atma as itself, you have to know only as Aham Brahma Asmi, not Aham Janam. So this is the Sankshepa. Okay, this topic seems to be a never-ending topic. It is still going on. We will continue this in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.